Welcome along to Property Tribes TV. As a reflection in the level of interest in peer-to-peer lending in the property arena, we're delighted to announce the launch of a new category on Property Tribes, peer-to-peer lending for property, and it's powered by Assetz Capital. And I'm joined now by Stuart from Assetz Capital. Stuart, peer-to-peer lending definitely on the rise and important landmarks reached recently, so it's a good time to launch this category with a property perspective, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Peer-to-peer lending is democratisation of finance. It's cutting out the opaque middleman, traditionally called the bank, and choosing which side of the fence you want to be on. Do you want to lend your capital out on, in Assetz Capital's case, secured lending to property developers, investors, businesses, but typically property, residential property, as the security for that lending? Or do you want to be the borrower and borrow money where banks are letting you down and not really giving you the finance you need to grow your portfolio, do your development or run your business? And it's great. We sit in the middle, we transact, we source the transactions, we vet them, and people vote with their pound notes and choose to invest or otherwise. It really has taken off. We've got, in terms of landmarks you mentioned, we've got the 1 billion of landmark just reached recently. We've got the FCA just issued today their regulatory regime, final status, at least how it's going to be launched in terms of protecting lenders and borrowers. We've got that regime coming in April, 1st of April. And we have the government well underway in putting hundreds of millions of pounds into alternative finance to build a sector that competes effectively with the banks in the future and prevents them getting a competitive stranglehold on the market, and all that led to in the last crisis.
So very good news for consumers, both borrowers and savers. And I can imagine that some landlords / property investors would actually be both a borrower and a lender across your platform.
It happens, absolutely. We've had people come through, I think you've seen them on your forum actually, one or two of them commenting on it, that they save up for a deposit, they park their money in the lending vehicle initially, they earn typically 10% per annum, although our average is 12.7 at the moment, with a 62% loan to value average. So they park their money, get their 10% return or so, and then when they're ready, they sold the units on the aftermarket, quickly gone, and then use the cash to buy something, and then borrow alongside that cash. So yeah, it's a liquid market, as it would be in a healthy marketplace, and it's something that's working very well for borrowers and lenders.
Something we've noticed on Property Tribes is that we're getting a lot more expats joining our discussions, and you know, this is an area where expats can actually get some decent lending, because the avenues to them through the normal high street sort of lending channels are actually very restricted. So are you seeing more expats coming through as well?
Yes, yeah, we've seen that. We're not a cheap option, but we're a totally available option, because we price on the basis of taking out the risk of the overseas borrower that the banks perceive. So we take that risk away by lending on a sensible loan to value and on a sensible interest rate. And it basically makes it a no-brainer for our lenders. And so the overseas expat borrower, or even non-expat, just an overseas borrower full stop, who just cannot tick all the boxes with the main banks, has got an alternative and can get the finance, whether it's short-term, effectively bridging, using a property as security, or whether it's long-term buy-to-let until the market comes back from the high street.
And are you actually having individual underwriting rather than just, you know, the computer says no?
Exactly. Yeah, we have a process which is for each individual loan segment. So it might be buy-to-let, might be bridging, might be property development finance, whatever the segment. We have a credit policy. We have a mathematical model that tells us where the risk should be and where also the pricing of the loan should be. And then we place that out with our investors, who are effectively the last credit committee, if you think about it, because they vote. They vote with their keyboards, pressing the button and committing their cash. So they're the final credit committee, just like a bank, I suppose, in a way. And they vote with their feet and vote with their money. And if they like it, bid and take it out. Absolutely.
So just to finish, I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit here and say that I think that peer-to-peer lending in the property arena is going to be one of the biggest trends that we see in the next few years. What are your thoughts on my comment?
Yes, I'd agree. The banks have had their fingers burnt, and I don't think anybody would risk their career in a bank in recommending they go back into property lending. They've ridden the end of the cycle very aggressively. As usual, they've lost huge amounts of capital. I don't know if it's commonly known, but banks have lost more money on commercial property lending than they've ever made. It's a net loss for them, so it's not a good place for anybody to recommend to go back to for years to come, I suspect. And yet, development funding and some other forms of property lending is very, very safe. It's got that rock-solid security called property, and we all know how good that can be with the right property. So I think it's going to take off massively, whilst the banks lag far behind.
Okay, Stuart, well, thank you very much for your Assetz Capital support of Property Tribes and for powering our new category. And our sponsors help keep Property Tribes as a free-to-use community resource. So do check out our new peer-to-peer lending tribe powered by Assetz Capital. We're going to be seeing a lot of interesting discussions and information shared in this new category. Thank you for watching.